attracting many more to be a part of our radiant presence, our radiant expression of your wisdom and love. Thank you, God.
Okay,
Amen.
Beck, well, I'll talk to you later today, okay? I'm gonna get on my
Thank you,
meeting.
Reverend Blair.
Me too.
So, Madam
Me
Secretary,
too, totally.
do we have a quorum?
So glad. Okay, Beck, take care. Bye.
We have a quorum, so the meeting can begin. Thank you, Madam Secretary. So to begin with, I'd like to present and introduce your current board of directors. As many of you know, we were voted in right at the very beginning of the pandemic. And for pretty much, well, for the past 16 years, we've been meeting on Zoom. We didn't even meet each other until the very first meeting that we were on campus on July 19th. That was our first meeting. So, I think most of you know them by now because we've been presenting at each of the 11 o'clock services, but I wanted to do it formally. So first, I'd like to introduce our Vice President, Aaron Hostetler. Please stand. I'd like to introduce Connie Carter, recently reelected, and she's our Secretary and Property and Grounds Director, Manager, all things. Then I'd like to introduce Todd Bopel, our Chief Financial Officer. I'd like to introduce Steve Stokel, who's in the back. He's an outgoing member at large. And then we have two that are absent. Lisa Kolobar could not be here today. Her daughter-in-law, right, just delivered a very healthy baby in Phoenix. So she sent us pictures, and it's glorious. And Aaron, go ahead and sit down. Aaron will be presenting Lisa's part. And then our newly elected board member, Kathy Andrews, is unable to be here. Unfortunately, she and her husband were camping. They had a tent trailer on top of the vehicle, and on the way down the step and broke her wrist. So she's having to have some surgery to repair that, but she's doing well and sends all of you her regards, and she's sorry for not being here. Also, I want to thank our keeper of the flame, Jean-Claude. Where is Jean-Claude? He's not here. He's putting out a fire somewhere else, I think, perhaps. That's what it is. So Jean-Claude is supposed to be here as the keeper of our flame. So if not, Aaron, that's your duty. Thank you, Aaron, for being the keeper of our flame. All right. So at this time, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the agenda. The agenda was mailed out to our membership and passed out today. Do I have a motion to approve our agenda?
Yes.
Mary Jean Hawes makes the motion. Do I hear a second? Jim has a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. The agenda is carried. Thank you. That would have been a mess. I don't know what I would have done. All right. The next one is the approval of minutes of the previous meeting. The minutes from last year's meeting have been sent to all of our members online. I hope that you saw that. Actually, I think you sent it out twice, Mary Jean, for you to look at. So, Madam Secretary, are there any additions or corrections to the minutes that we sent out to the membership? Okay. Mary Jean, did you receive any? There were no corrections or additions received by our secretary or the front office. So is there a motion to approve the minutes as sent? And what's your name? We need to have it. Sandra? Sandra Juno? Schoonover. Sandra Schoonover. Sorry, Sandra. Makes the motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Arlene Pageant seconds it. Thank you, Arlene, very much. All right, the minutes are approved as submitted. All right. At this point, I'd like to invite Kirk Reeve to the podium to deliver the election committee report. Thank you, Kirk.
Pageant. Oh, God.
I'm happy to be with you all this afternoon. We're okay. I won't touch a thing. My name is Kirk Reeve. I'm the outgoing representative of the membership on the church's election committee, which has as its major responsibility the organization and implementation of elections for replacement board members. One definition of success in the election of board members is all vacancies have been filled by candidates who are certainly qualified to a high degree and who have high moral standards and a dedication to our church. And if that's an acceptable definition, I think we have achieved that in our recent election last month. But you understand that last month's election was 5, almost 6 months late in happening because of COVID. And it's the intention of our board to get back on track in 2022, which means that we will have another board election in about 6 months. 2 of our current board members will have term expiration at that time. So I just plant that seed in the minds of some of you who might be interested in candidacy in that regard. Our bylaws state that during the annual membership meeting, there will be an election by the membership to fill the vacancy of representative to the election committee. So according to the bylaws, that should take place this afternoon. It's not going to. The board chooses to make some changes that will allow everyone to take part. Self-nomination, nominating somebody else with that person's permission, and the voting. So I think the intention is to move into that task electronically. And there will be more along that line coming from the board in a few short weeks. But I want to say a few words about the position itself, the position of representing the membership on the election committee. It's a 3-member committee, you realize, consisting of the minister director, Mary Jean being that person right now, a representative from the board, and then a representative from the general membership. And the bylaws state that that representative from the general membership will be the chairman of that group. This, I believe, is an important check and balance in the election process. Now, I know that most of us hesitate to commit ourselves to a form of church service that's going to be demanding on our time. This is not one of those forms of service. It's an important service, but it's not all that demanding. For example, the person who will be elected to represent our membership, perhaps a little later this month or early October, won't have to do a thing until December. And that will be simply to get the committee together for its first meeting. And at that meeting, the bylaws will be reviewed with full understanding of the task ahead. A timeline will be initiated. And then a subsequent meeting planned for January. And then another meeting in February. And probably one in March as things are wrapped up. Mary Jean, thankfully, takes care of communication to the membership. She takes care of putting together the documents. So the other two members of that committee have pretty much a free ride. But as I say,
That's not nice.
the general membership representative plays a key role in ensuring that checks and balances are in place for a good and proper election. And that's the extent of the obligation. Come the election in March, your job is done. So you can just bask in glory. So I encourage you to give careful thought to becoming a candidate for this position. You'll have plenty of time to think about it until the online election process is implemented. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirk, and to your team, Lisa and Mary Jean, for your work. The board knew that the process would reflect your integrity and earn the respect of our community. So whoever does take this election committee chairperson, you have high standards to meet. Kirk's at the highest level of integrity. All right, so this is the point where we do the president's report. So thank you guys very much. I spent some time on this. So if it's not any good, it's not because I didn't try. And that's so, we gave ourselves 10 minutes each to do this, and Aaron will be waving the yellow and red placard. But full disclosure, I'm at 12 to 13 minutes, so ignore the crazy woman over here. If she comes running and jumps me off the platform, you'll know why. Yeah, all right, great. So I must first begin with gratitude for those who came before us. You know, blessings to Reverends Marge, Carolyn, and Clive, and to all the staff and board members throughout the years. We are in appreciation and recognize your collective wisdom, courage, spiritual foundation, and vision. Unity of Tustin would not be what it is today without each and every one of you. So, in preparing for my report, I went back and looked at my previous messages for you. It's a lot of fun going online, Unity of Tustin messages. I clicked it open, I go, oh my word. You know, we've sent a lot of messages out to you folks. So one of my first messages was 16 months ago on May 20th. It was really kind of at the beginning of the pandemic. I shared with you, and I think this was my first video with you, that my style as a leader was one of principle-centered leadership. Stephen Covey, principle-centered leadership. Establishing strategies. Oh, wait a second. I don't have to stop. That's not my time. Establishing strategies to achieve compelling vision and mission, and developing and empowering teams to achieve agreed upon goals. That I'm more of an executive producer. I'm not Walt Disney or Francis Ford Coppola, but that's who I kind of imagine the style of leadership I have, where I'm an executive and I create the vision and the mission, the strategies, and then create magnificent teams, which I think we're doing, creating magnificent teams. It's my hope that the community sees that my role and that I am providing this to you. As you well remember, Unity of Tustin was shut down May a year ago, 16 months ago, just like the rest of the world. We didn't have a contract with our minister, Reverend Clive. Daryl and Tony were pre-recording Reverend Clive's 11 o'clock service on Tuesdays and Wednesdays for Facebook and YouTube. The choir was with Amy on Zoom, as I recall, every Monday since the very beginning of Zoom. Amy ran the choir meeting. Nevin had youth and family online, and our Reiki, men's group, women's circle, and Eye of the Storm groups were online. The bookstore was closed. Irrigation was turned way down. All non-essential staff were gone. We were hoping for the federal PPP, and the board had just begun meeting weekly on Zoom, and we were actually meeting more than weekly, sometimes a couple times a week. I reported to you at that time that we were in challenging times and uncharted water. However, I was optimistic. As I knew from experience, that it's from crisis and chaos that transformation comes. Almost a year ago, about 4 months later, on September, we had to hold our annual meeting online, as you recall, just about a year ago today. At that time, we reinforced our desire to be transparent and responsive to you. I reported that we had a signed minister's contract, that on July 19th of 2020, this is over a year now, we had safely opened our 11 o'clock service in the gardens. We had 19 people at that service. And I think it was as hot as it was today, if I recall. It was blazing hot. We had purchased AV equipment to be able to provide our service online to those at home. So as you'll recall, most people were still at home. The state had just opened up and allowed you to be outside, but most people still wanted to be at home. So we bought a lot of AV equipment so that we could provide that to you for those who wanted to stay there. We had approved a minister director position, which Mary Jean has filled. And we talked about our financial status and that we had falling revenue with huge amounts of deferred maintenance. We committed to you at that time that we would build realistic budgets, prioritize the necessary spend, and start working on different types of revenue streams. I reported a year ago that the board saw the state of Unity of Tustin as one that was reflecting, emerging, and moving into a future of prosperity. 2 months later, November, we had our third online meeting. I think this is I'm supposed to remember to breathe when the planes come. It was at this time that I announced that Reverend Clive had decided to not renew his contract and to move back home to the East Coast. I also shared that our beloved Nevin had completed her youth and family curriculum and had decided to retire. It was also at this time that I shared with you our assessment of some of the spiritual organizations across the country. You may recall that Lisa and I called probably 6 or 7 different spiritual communities, mostly Unity throughout the country, to find out what their assessment of where they stood in the middle of the pandemic, before, and what they were hoping to emerge to. What they all said was that and what I shared with you at that time, was that they were moving away from a minister-centric model and moving towards a community and mission-centric model. That ministers were sharing platforms and doing less of the business. It was at this time that I presented what we felt was a new framework for our community and our future ministries. In your handout, you'll see a little triangle. You've seen that online before, but I wanted you to take a look at it while I spoke to it. It was a triangle that held our community's spiritual dimensions and scope. At the base was Unity's teachings, education, youth and family metaphysics, and mystical. On the right was the world's religions, sacred truths with an East meets West vibe. And on the left was contemporary and new thought. At that time in November, I reported that our current state was optimistic, strategic, fluid, and adapting. At that time, I shared with you our 10 top priorities. To create a stable ministry with a meaningful and value-based message. This has been done. We created the spiritual ministry team, which is a living reflection of our spiritual triangle. And we have signed contracts with Reverend Blair, Craig, and Shara. 2, to create 2 revenue streams, one from our community to fund our ministry, one from our community to fund our ministry, and one from our property and grounds to fund itself. This is partially done, and it's a work in progress. Lisa was going to report, but Aaron will do that today. 3, to strategically attend to our deferred maintenance and property enhancement needs. This will be ongoing, but it's mostly done, kinda. And Connie will give you a full report on that today. 4, to understand our monthly profit and loss gaps, to build realistic and useful budgets, and to plan a pledge drive. Partially done, Todd will address with you. 5, to investigate our options to finance our deferred maintenance and enhancement needs. This is done. However, we've chosen to self-fund at this time. 6, to establish a new youth and family leadership program, and with it, a 2021 vision for our youth and family ministry. This is done, and Erin Hostetler will officially move into this role September 15th, and will report out on her efforts and vision today. 7, to reliably and consistently provide a live video stream for our Sunday service, done. 8, to help support an effective prayer chaplain service, done. Mary Jean and John Claude are developing, training, and empowering our prayer chaplains. Thank you, Jim, for all the work that you've done. 9, to maintain our Sunday music service, done under the leadership of Amy John. And 10, to reliably and transparently communicate with you, our community, done. We've communicated to you since July 19th, 2020 at 11 o'clock on every Sunday service. As well, we have the minutes of every one of our board meetings and all of our messages and reports to you online, trying to be as transparent and effective as we can with you and with our communication. For this year's annual membership meeting, I report that the state of unity of Tustin is one that is stabilizing, joyful, transforming, and emerging into a future of prosperity. Now, one of the challenges that we're facing is how to manage the business of the church with our new spiritual ministry team. Mary Jean and I meet minimally monthly with the spiritual ministry team, and one of them attends each of our bi-weekly board meetings. Personally, I am in contact with them individually almost weekly. As you may have noticed, the board, Mary Jean and Christy, are managing the business of our spiritual community, pretty much managing it. One of my goals is to set up business functions that do not depend on one individual, the board, or a minister doing everything. As such, we are starting to establish community-based business units that will advise and support. So this is new. This is the first time I think you've heard this from me. So I have 3 examples. The first, we have the Revenue Committee, recently started with Joe Hill, Zelda Benson, John Haas, with oversight from our Chief Financial Officer, Todd Bopel. They will make recommendations on our portfolios distribution, legacy giving, fundraising, galas, and various other types of capital ventures. So thank you, guys. Thank you too. Thank you too. There's a lot to coming. Thank you. Second, we have a social media team led by Aaron with Mary Jean and Christy Bronner. As you well know, social media is here and it's quite effective. We need to learn how to leverage it effectively and safely. Right? Third, newly forming is a property and grounds director, which Connie Carter will develop for us. No, wait, hear about it. This is a big one. Connie will set up proper maintenance and repair schedules and coordinate with our chief financial officer and our revenue committee on long-term, intermediate, and short-term needs for proper funding and management. She will also coordinate our volunteers and contractors. This is a big job. It's a big lift. It's probably 60% of our budget right now. So I'm hoping to reverse that a little bit as Aaron starts taking off with youth and family and demanding more, but I'm hoping. But we're grateful, Connie, for you taking the leadership and the reins for this. And let's give her a round of applause. All right. All right. So new on the plate, and the board hasn't heard this, but Mary Jean and I have been talking about it. Will be Mary Jean and me meeting with the spiritual ministry team to discuss how we can best collaborate together and establish a prosperity and abundance consciousness, one that promotes giving to spiritual source as a part of spiritual practice. To create a new and reliable member orientation and spiritual baptism process. To create tithing workshops, to enhance selfless service and volunteer involvement as part of spiritual commitment, and to actively move into community outreach. We have a very large Hispanic, Latino, Asian population in Orange County, as well as a Black demographic, and we're going to actively move into those areas. As you learned this week, our beloved and irreplaceable Amy John will be moving into new activity. Carol Roman will be managing the choir, and the front office will be managing the music. No one can provide you the love, spiritual awareness, and attention to detail that Amy did for us for over 20 years. However, over the next couple of months, we hope to have exciting vocalists, instrumentalists, chanting, Dickens carolers, as well as a country pop rock band with line dancing instructions right here. So priorities for 2022 will be further establishing our community-based business lines, specifically supporting and developing our revenue committee, our social media team, and our property and grounds management. I see it, Aaron. Repurpose, and this is new, repurpose and enhance Victoria House. We want to turn it into an attractive and highly functional community center. We also want to create effective and beautiful signage in the front on Prospect, something that you'll be proud of, and that is marketing and advertising to our community as well as big community and little community. We also want to support Yfm. That's really probably number one on my list. And then we want to hear from you. This is probably number one. We want to hear from you on what workshops, teachings, books, and events you would like to participate in. The spiritual ministry team and Mary Jean have been working really hard since December, trying to figure out what you want. But we need to start hearing from you what you want as well. And so you'll be getting some questionnaires from us, and we'll be moving on that. So I'm almost done, Aaron. But before so the rest of the agenda will be hearing from your board and ministry on their high-level accomplishments and goals. But before I hand it off to them, I want to assure you that the board recognizes the economic and cultural challenges that we're facing. However, we also recognize the advantages that we have in our ministry. Where's Reverend Blair? In our ministry, in our people. Oh, Craig, namaste. In our people and on our grounds. And the importance of our vision and mission statements. So let me take a moment and remind you. A vision statement describes what an organization desires to achieve in the long run, what they hope to become. Our vision states, centered in divine love, we participate in radical global awakening of consciousness, honoring all. A mission statement includes the values and purpose of the organization. Our mission states, we are a vibrant spiritual community committed to individual and collective awakening through sacred teachings and practices, one God, one heart, many paths. Our values are love, abundance, diversity, gratitude, integrity, and joy. Our vision, mission, and values are honorable, worthy, and important to our unity of Tustin community, and they're relevant to our country and the global community. It is your board's intention to help us move collectively toward this vision and to make it possible to practice our mission by providing financial and ministerial stability through interdependence and guided by the divine. In closing, your board takes seriously the trust that you have placed with us. We appreciate the goodwill that you send us. You don't know how much that means when you get some of those notes. And we reflect back our loving intentions to you through our effort. So thank you guys, love. Oh. Thank you guys. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Gonna make me cry. Okay, my time is up now. Did I do it perfectly? All right. So at this time, I invite Reverend Blair to the podium to deliver the spiritual ministry team report. Thank you, Reverend Blair. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. So I want to start off by saying that I have over 40 years of ministerial experience. I worked with church boards. I've worked with the regional board. I've worked with the international board. I've done board trainings. I've done strategic planning with boards. I've never seen a board as active as this board here. So you are really blessed. We are really blessed for all the efforts and the love that they put into what they're doing. So it's interesting, as we started the spiritual ministry, Jim was always calling us a triad. And then I forget who was, somebody said it's the triumvirate. But we are a team, and I'm so blessed to have Craig as a part of our team and have Charla as the part of our team. We didn't meet in person until we were, what, 4 months into this. It was all online and communicating by emails and stuff, but there was an instant rapport. There was an instant connection. And a lot was based on our prayer consciousness. I mean, we start every meeting with a prayer time. We end every meeting with a prayer time, not just a short time, but we go in and go deep. And so it's been really a joy to be a part of that and to see what we've come together and be able to create, because we come from different directions, but we're all about the same thing. So it's really been a blessing. So as our theme for this month is new beginnings. So you heard Charles and mine today, and Craig's going to continue. And then this last Sunday of the month is going to be Welcoming Sunday. You've heard about that. And the idea really is for you to invite people to come to church. I've studied marketing for decades and decades. The number one best way of marketing is word of mouth. That means you have to tell somebody, and so if you want the church to grow, and people may come once and they may not resonate, and that's fine, because we've been to churches, other kinds of churches. Sometimes you go once, you go, oh, well, that's not for me. So, but invite them. And if they come, and like many of us had that experience of coming the first time, we go, I felt at home, right? And so that's it. We want to give people that opportunity to see if this is their spiritual home. So that's part of that. The prayer chaplains are doing their memorial service this coming Sunday. And as a part of that, we were asked to consider some ongoing support. So Shara and I are going to be doing the grief recovery workshop for that. It's based on the Grief Recovery Handbook. It's the best tool. It's the only tool I recommend for people who are working on their grief. It's a 6-week process. You go through some of the things that other programs have, but this is a real complete process. And it's about not just the loss of someone dying or a pet dying, it's about change of jobs, it's about divorce, it's about any kind of change that you're grieving. And we all have unresolved losses in our lives. So if you want to commit to a 6-week process to really help get to what that's about and resolve it, one of the steps is writing a letter at the end to the person and then sharing with someone. I still remember in my mind when I was doing that process for my mom after my mom had died. I was actually on jury duty, sitting in the jury room waiting to be called in for a panel. And I'd finished the letter and there was just this resolution, this sense of peace. And I looked around and I go, there's hundreds of people around here. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm so grateful that I was able to do that. So it's a wonderful process. I invite you for that. Our next big thing is the Adventure in Faith that's coming up. And we've chosen a book called 7 Masters, 1 Path, written by John Selby. We're really blessed. The book is out of print. John has given us permission to print it here with no charge from him. So Mary Jean is in the process of doing that. There's a few copies online, used copies. I don't think there are any news copies online, but you can go to Amazon and you can get one of them if you want. But we're going to do a kickoff before the Sunday. So Craig's doing the Friday night service, and then Shara's doing the Saturday morning component. I'm doing the Saturday afternoon component, and then John Selby, the author, is going to be with us Saturday afternoon as well. So yeah, so it'll be online, but it's really, really special to have him that. And there's a little thing there that he's going to allow questions and answers, but he wants to have the questions ahead of time so he can be deep about his answers with that. So this is really exciting. I did yesterday a training for our facilitators. So some of them are here. If you were on the training yesterday, yeah, so we have some back there that were on our training. There will be small groups. Some will be in the home. And some will probably be online. So if you're interested, there'll be signups coming up for you to do that. If you're interested and did not have a chance to get trained for being a facilitator, come let me know because I can do that. We recorded it, but I can coach you through that as well. And the process is there's 7 masters that John Selby looks at and what their theme was, and has a prayer process, a meditative process that's compounding. So if you start with the first one and build the next one and build the next one, build the next one, it's really a powerful meditation experience. I was back visiting my church in San Diego where we did the small groups back in 2017. And I had several people come up to me and say they're still using this process in their daily meditation time. So it's really good for that. Up in November and December, that's what we'll be doing. And then at the December, where's the last one? On the 14th, the last Sunday of our process, John Selby will be with us again virtually. So we're going to have him twice. Then we start with Advent, and that'll take us through the end of the year. For the Burning Bowl ceremony, December 31st, 7 p.m., Craig and Shara and I will all be here together to do that for you. So we'll be doing that in person. So we're looking forward to that. And Craig and I are going to be working on the music for that. So we're looking forward to that. One of the roles that we have, Jim mentioned that we alternate attending their board meetings, 2 a month at least. So we have a chance to report from our team to the board, and then from the board back to the team. So there's communication both ways with that. And there is a survey, I think that already went out, didn't, on the anagrams and the women's retreat. So that survey's already gone out. You should hopefully have seen that and responding, because again, we have all these ideas of things that we can do, but we'd like to focus it on what your needs, what your requests are for that. And lastly, it's an honor and a joy to be a part of this. I had somebody today say, well, we like having you here. Do you like being here? And I go, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't having fun. So that's one of my joys. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you to the board. Thank you to all of you. God bless.
Thank you, Reverend Blair. We are fortunate to have Reverend Blair. You know, he's a seasoned, experienced spiritual minister, understanding the ministry, leadership, business, and community relations. I'm personally grateful for your advice and the mentoring that you give me on sometimes a weekly and daily basis. And your role in leading the spiritual ministry team is invaluable. It's groundbreaking, I think, and will be integral to our success. So thank you, Reverend Blair. At this time, I'd like to invite Mary Jean Haas to the podium to deliver the ministry director report.
About 2 years ago, I stood up in front of a community meeting and I expressed some concerns I had about the state of our ministry. It wasn't good. Things were really stuck. We had software that was 15 years old that we were using as our database. None of our technical systems talked to each other. We weren't doing any marketing and very few events, and the campus was in a state of disrepair. I'm happy to report that while everything hasn't resolved itself, many, many things are very different now than they were when I gave that sort of call to action, I guess. And it's been achieved in a very short amount of time when you think about it. I won't bore you with all the specifics except to say that this board hasn't not allowed anything to remain static, that they've made decisions that were too long deferred and stepped out in faith, trusting that Spirit's guidance would lead us to the renewal of Unity of Tustin. They put in practice one of our core teachings, to step out in faith, and then the next step appears. They didn't wait for conditions to be perfect. In fact, it was a pandemic going on, so they could have used that as an excuse not to do anything. They didn't wait for a savior to come and rescue them. They decided to be their own savior. They had a vision of a thriving campus, a spiritual center in Orange County, preserving the grounds and buildings as well as the spiritual teachings of the community. And they got going toward making that vision happen. So the other thing I really want to talk about today is that most of you are aware that we have two streams of income at Unity. One is donations, and the other is events, whether you call it classes, whether we call it rentals, whether we call it intensives, whatever the name you give it, that's the other source of income that we have at Unity. And people give donations for two reasons in my experience here. One is it's part of their spiritual practice. We recognize here, we don't teach dogma, we don't offer rules, but we do teach practices. The practices of spiritual study, of prayer and meditation, attending classes, devotional things, selfless service, and also giving. It's not optional. It's a requirement if you're on the spiritual path consciously that you give back to your spiritual source, what's feeding you spiritually. Our spiritual ministry team would be the group that would be primarily the teachers of this aspect of giving, although there are many people here that can speak to how necessary it is to kind of put your money where your faith is. Because up until that time, it's all words, right? It sounds good, but when you actually walk the talk, your money is where you, and your love and your time and your energy, that's what speaks to whether your spirituality is genuine. And people also give because they recognize the needs of their spiritual community. They ask questions like, what does it take to maintain the buildings, to pay the staff and the ministers, to keep the lights on, to keep the sprinklers going? If we didn't have Steve, I don't know. I don't know about what the sprinklers would be doing. What the water bill is. Our water bill is, yikes. Steve's really helped with that, but it's pretty bad sometimes. The gardeners, we have to pay them. We have Connie out here mowing the lawn. You just got to see it to believe it sometimes. She had Margie doing it too once. Yeah. She wanted to, right? She said, I want to. These grounds are a great blessing, but they're a great responsibility at the same time. Our vision is not just to maintain unity of Tustin, but to expand it, enhance it, to see it bloom and grow. The other events, and Aaron's going to talk about that. Lisa was going to talk about it. And you see Maricella's beautiful picture in the pamphlet that we handed out of, she's our representative bride at this point. But we have to use our property to generate income. We just have to. It's not an option that we look at it and have it be a beautiful museum. It's got to generate income as well. During COVID, we've had lots of offerings outdoors, on Zoom, opportunities for spiritual study, and also to connect with other members of your spiritual team. Even on Zoom, you can still connect with people in your community. And we're planning many more. And Jim mentioned this, but I'm going to really stress this. We need to know from you what you want. We need to know what kind of events are meaningful to you, what kind of events you don't want. This is something that we're really thinking about a lot because, as I'm saying, it's not optional. We have to have these events in order to generate income. As of today, we've sold 18 tickets to Carl Anthony, the concert next Saturday on the grounds at 6 p.m. I know all of you have heard of Carl, and all of you recognize his skill at connecting with his audience. I mean, he's not only a great performer, lots of people can do that, but he connects with his audience and gets you involved so that you feel like you were part of what was going on. And I just have to tell you, I kind of don't get it. I don't know why we haven't sold 75 tickets to Carl Anthony. I don't think it's the price. It's only $15. I don't think it's, it's outdoors. So for most people, that would be okay during COVID. In my experience, this is a last minute church. People make decisions at the last minute. So I gotta hope that that's what it is. But I promise you, if you come, you will have fun. It's going to be a really enjoyable outdoor event. So I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jean, for your work. You have been and remained, for those of you who know Mary Jean, she's a cornerstone. I mean, a cornerstone of Unity of Tustin. You are beloved by the board and community, and I cannot frankly imagine doing this job without you, period. She's one of a kind. I have worked with the highest level, senior level consultants and special consultants, and Mary Jean's right up there. We're very, very fortunate to have her. Thank you. All right, at this time, I'd like to invite Todd Popel, our Chief Financial Officer, to the podium to deliver the treasurer's report.
All right, so I have 10 minutes to get you through 7 scintillating financial slides. So that is what I'm going to do. So if we start on page 5, you will see a quick overview, sort of my table of contents. I'm going to jump right into page 6. I'm not going to steal Connie's thunder. Connie's going to give you a much more comprehensive rundown in a minute, but these are some of the things we've been doing this year. Each of these things costs $5,000 or more, basically. And these are 8 items here that we prioritized as a board as being extremely important. And that was due to a few things. Number one, these things were only going to get more expensive the longer that we waited to do them. So we knew that we had a backlog, a deficit of maintenance that we had to get on top of. And the longer we waited, the more expensive these things were going to get. Number two, they were things that were important to the community and that had a real impact on people's experience here of our facilities, of our buildings, of our grounds. And so we knew that they were important to all of us, and they would be important to any visitors as well. And we want to make sure that we're attracting visitors and giving them reasons to come back. And then number three, a couple of these things even had some more direct sort of impact on marketing, on the ability to hold weddings here, and on some other things that were going to be really direct revenue drivers. So as you can see here, we've spent about $80,000 so far year to date. That does not include what we spent last year. Last year, we spent a lot on AV, as Jim has already mentioned. So we made some really significant AV investments, as you can see from our camera setup and what we're running back to the sanctuary and how we're still doing every Sunday service and the presence that we have on Facebook and on YouTube and the way that we stream our service. All of those investments were made last year. And so this year, we've really turned from the audiovisual realm into the physical realm and what we're doing on our campus and how we can make sure that we're really servicing that deficit that we had and building for the future. As we go to page 7, what you can see here is that stuff isn't free. We got to pay for it somehow. And especially in the last couple of months, the bills came due. So we had pretty significant cash outflow for the termite work, for the painting of all the buildings on campus, for the replacement of the air conditioning units covering the sanctuary and the entire education building and the office buildings. And so those were our big ticket items, and most of those bills came due very recently. And so you'll see that we saw a real dip in our cash on hand. This is our operating cash. So this is the cash that sits in our bank account that we write our checks from each day as we operate the business. And so rather than staying in our sort of historic range of about 80 to 120,000, which is where that cash balance had been operating, we dipped down to about 40,000 in August. And then we added some cash back into our operating account from our reserves, which I'll touch on in just a second. And now we're back up around 60. Mary Jean and I are probably going to keep this account around 50,000 going forward, keeping it at 100,000 plus, given that it makes zero interest and doesn't do anything for us in terms of working for us. Didn't seem like we needed to really do that. And we're not running severe deficits in most months. We're pretty close to break even right now on an operating basis month to month. So we're going to try and keep this balance closer to the 50,000 level going forward. We think that gives us enough cushion. But if we do need to dip into our reserves and pull any more out of there to bolster that cash balance, we can do that. Which takes us to page 8, where you will see our current reserves, which is our stock and bond portfolio, which has been in existence for a long time and has almost never really been touched very much. It's really been allowed to sit and grow for many, 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 many years, which is a blessing because now it's at this level of over $260,000 as of just a few days ago. You'll see there on the far right, and it's shown some really steady growth over the last 5 years or so that you'll see in this chart. That balance on the far right, 263,000, that's after we took out $25,000, like I just mentioned, to help increase our operating cash. So this year, if you've been following the stock market since it bottomed out last March or so, or April, you know it's been on something of a tear, and it's been going up and up and up, and we have certainly been benefiting from that. Mentioned here at the bottom, of course, is Joe and Zelda and John, who are serving as this new revenue or finance committee to help us out. They made some recommendations about the balance of our reserves and getting a little more aggressive with those reserves. So we did that in August. We moved from 70% equities up to 80% equities. We left the rest in bonds. So we're in a little bit more of an aggressive posture now. Again, we don't think that we're going to need to take very much more out of this account in the near future, but if we do need to, we certainly can. It's there for us. And we did withdraw money in August for the first time in many, many, many years to make sure that we had enough operating cash to cover the building maintenance and the air conditioning and those kinds of things that we've been doing. So still in a really strong financial position, though. Really strong reserves that are higher than they were at the beginning of the year, despite the fact that we had to dip in a little bit. As we go to number 9, page 9, I just wanted to sort of close the book on our PPP loan and make sure that you're all aware of kind of how that transpired. So last year we did apply in April and qualified for a PPP loan. It was almost $48,000. It was sort of the Wild West of the PPP loan period when we applied. Nobody really knew exactly what they were doing. Nobody could really explain to us exactly what all the rules were. It was kind of crazy, and there were just all kinds of ideas flying around. We took what the bank told us and basically went with it. Turns out the bank wasn't quite right either. So when we finally went back earlier this year to square up the PPP loan, 15,000 of it is not forgivable. So essentially 32,000 and change got forgiven completely. So that was free money from the government. The other 15,000 or so was money that we have to pay back. It's only 1% interest. So it's about the cheapest and easiest loan you can possibly get. And so we need to pay it back by next April 2022. So essentially we're paying back $1,500 a month and we'll be done by next April. And that'll be that. So I just wanted to make sure you were aware that that had been closed out and taken care of. As we move on to the next page, page 10, what you'll see there is our P&L, our profit and loss statements for the last 4 years total, complete years, and then our year-to-date on the far right of where we are this year, year-to-date. This gets a little complicated because of the fact that in 2019, we switched from cash accounting to accrual accounting, which is why you see the depreciation line never existed in 2017 and 2018, and then it suddenly showed up in 2019 and beyond. That depreciation line means that money that was spent in the past on capital projects is sort of being averaged over usually a period of about 10 years. And so you're taking that money, the cash went out the door whenever the project was done, but the expense of that project is actually recognized over like a 10-year period. So only parts of it hit your profit and loss statement. So it's a bunch of fancy accounting stuff, but it does sort of make a difference if you're trying to understand your official profit and loss versus your cash accounting, like how much money your cash flow is coming in and going out, and where are you in terms of your cash. So I'm always working with Mary Jean and Christy, and we're always looking at all of those, both what's our P&L say, but more importantly, what's our cash balance look like, and where are we to make sure that we understand that. But last year, 2020, you see that we ended the year with a deficit of $106,000 on a P&L basis. 70,000 of that is on the depreciation line. So that was not actual money that went out the door. That 70,000 was essentially just an accounting mechanism for money that had gone out the door for capital projects previously. So our total loss last year on a cash basis was only about $30,000 or so. And even that was essentially covered by the PPP loan, which doesn't really show up in here either. It'll be recognized as revenue probably later this year when we officially recognize that it's been forgiven. So essentially last year, we were pretty close to a break-even year on a cash basis. We had pretty close to the right amount of cash coming in and going out, except for the audiovisual projects that we funded. But our P&L would indicate that we were $106,000 to the negative, but again, not including the PPP revenue, and that 70,000 in depreciation is not actual money that went out the door. So if you look at this year, we're even in slightly better shape. This year, we're only running a $15,000 deficit on a profit and loss statement basis. So on a P&L basis, we're actually in better shape. On a cash basis, though, like I just showed you, we've spent about $80,000 in cash on the campus this year. And so on a cash basis, we're actually trending probably a little more negative than we did last year, which is why we've dipped into reserves to try and cover that and get to a stable platform going forward. So again, not bad news, just two different ways of looking at the same information, one on a cash basis, one on a profit and loss basis. Overall, though, we look pretty good going forward, which is what leads to where we are on a budget basis. Next slide, slide number 11. So we realized that the church has never really had an operating budget, at least not in recent history. Maybe there was some long ago, but in recent history, there hasn't really been an operating budget. So Mary Jean and I worked at the beginning of the year to come up with what our sort of wartime budget was going to be. I use the word wartime because it is essentially the skinniest, slimmest, leanest budget we can get to and still operate this church as a church and not just implode. And that is essentially $30,000 a month is what that costs. It costs us $30,000 a month to operate right now in the leanest possible footing that we can achieve. That means we're not currently budgeting for any significant maintenance expenditures. We're not currently budgeting for any marketing at all. There's no marketing budget. So right now it's all guerrilla marketing all the time. And we are budgeting, as I show here, these three sort of totals for our people expenses, which includes not only our staff, but also all of our contractors, you know, people like Tony, people like the gardeners, et cetera, et cetera. So anybody that's sort of a consistent recurring contractor, as well as our staff, is all included in our people budget. Our program budget is more of what it takes to put on our programming, and then our property budget, again, with zero maintenance, really, just day to day. What are we paying for the property in terms of, water bills and electric bills and everything else that we have to pay to keep this place going? So this is not really a sustainable budget. This is still a wartime budget. And I will say what you've heard today from the board and what Blair so kindly said about how active we are as a board. It's not sustainable. It's just that the board is doing a whole bunch of free work for the church and acting as, in a lot of cases, acting as staff. We're acting as business managers. We're acting as leaders. Some of us are mowing the lawn, for God's sakes, which I have lots of childhood trauma around mowing lawn, so I will not be doing that. I'll tell you those stories sometime, but mowing lawn does not appeal to me. But really, this budget and this board are not really a sustainable model. And we know that. This has been an extraordinary time. It's been a pandemic. It's been a once in a lifetime event. It's been something that we've all needed to navigate through. So that's what we're doing. And we're trying to get to the end of this and grow into more prosperity, which is the last slide, slide 12. Thank you, Aaron. I know I'm over time. I apologize. Last slide is kind of where are we and where are we going, right? So number one, keep the church solvent through the pandemic. We've done that, and we feel very good about how we did it and where we are right now. Number two, make the necessary investments in the deferred maintenance, those things that were only going to get more painful and more expensive if they weren't done. We've done those this year as well, and we're really pleased with that. Number three, create a foundation for new growth. That's where we are now, and that's where we need all of you to really lean into what is this going to look like? How can you help? How can you give? How can you support this community? What do you need the community to be so that you can feel good about supporting it? That's the conversation we want to be having for the coming months. So thank you all very much.
Anything on the website?
Oh, I can. You want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. One more thing really quickly, Jim wanted me to touch on the website. It was listed as the last thing on the projects on the first page. The website is being updated. You will have a brand new Unity of Tustin website to view and peruse in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. We don't have an exact launch date, but if I had to guess, it'd be about a month from now. So we're probably about a month away. That's been a big investment of time and a little bit of money as well, because we really want to make sure that as we reopen the church and relaunch these events and classes and retreats and whatever else we do, we need to make sure you all know what's happening, but we definitely need to make sure that new audiences are finding us and being attracted to this church. That's going to be crucial so that we can grow and continue to expand. And so that's what we want to do. So the new website is coming. Thanks to Aaron and Christy and Mary Jean for all of their hard work on it. And stay tuned for more in about a month.
So thank you, Todd, for the excellence and grounding that you bring to the board and our community. We're fortunate to have your experience and wisdom, and it helps to guide and your help to guide and nudge us along and to keep us within the guardrails. We're really fortunate, you guys. This guy is like a national level leader. He's flying all over the country, and he's in the office, hooking up monitors and fixing software and stuff. We are just truly blessed to have Todd. So thank you, Todd. He's truly an amazing person. So at this time, I would be inviting Lisa Kolabar to the podium to deliver the prosperity and events report. But as I shared for those of you who were here earlier, she is a grandmother and she's in Phoenix. So at this time, I'd like to ask Aaron to come up and do Lisa's report. Thank you, Aaron.
Okay, so I have been doing the time for all the other speakers, so that's okay. I'm going to time myself too. I just want to make sure Jim knows that it's fair. There we go. I'm starting. So as Jim mentioned, Lisa and her team of Christy Bronner and Mary Jean and Chrissy, and I'm sorry if I'm leaving anybody else who has helped out. I don't think I am, but they've all worked really hard together on creating fun events and bringing an array of classes and events to our community that are really going to bring help bring the life back, right, as we are emerging back on campus. So part of their first focus has been really on weddings, reaching out to brides and helping make that just really special day, a really spiritual, blessed day on our grounds. And so I'm moving a little ahead, but I did want to go on the slide with Jeff and Marisela and to make sure everybody just shares in their glory and their love. And we are so blessed that you guys agreed and you were our first official Unity of Tustin wedding. So thank you. And all the and helping with the marketing material and beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. So as far as really getting the weddings out there and marketing to potential brides, we do have a contract with Wedding Compass, and Wedding Compass is an online website that promotes different venues and reaches out to that demographic, right, of brides. So we are actively pursuing that. They have come out and they have shot a couple videos, and they will be doing updated pictures and videos. I think when we have our next wedding scheduled, they'll be coming back out to take updated videos and pictures as well. So we have had 2 staged photo shoots. A staged photo shoot is when we have had different event planners come and set up our grounds, beautiful, like a potential wedding. And so I don't know if some of you have seen the pictures that have gone out on social media, but they're absolutely gorgeous and helps you really paint the picture of truly just how beautiful our grounds are for those special ceremonies. We have also had the videos created and put onto social media, and it's in discussion right now on if we are going to be splitting social media for weddings to its specific platforms. So are we going to continue sharing that on Unity of Tustin's platform, or if we're going to create a whole platform for weddings that would be able to really focus on that demographic more. So more to come on that. That's in discussion. We do have an upcoming bridal show that's going to be happening on campus in November. Oh, excuse me, no, Saturday, October 23rd. I thought it was in November. So that's coming up really quickly, but it will be set up on our grounds to where it will be a bridal show, and we'll have different vendors and hopefully reaching out to potential brides to come and check out Unity of Tustin, and also networking with people in that industry. We have had multiple weddings take place on campus, which is wonderful. And then we also have life celebrations that we offer at Unity of Tustin. So please keep that in mind and reach out to Mary Jean or Christy if you are looking for a place to have your sacred event, okay? I want to make sure. Oh, and yes, I would be in so much trouble if I forgot to mention our concert. Who knows about the concert coming up? Yes, Carl Anthony. I know Mary Jean just mentioned it, and I'm going to mention it again. But Carl Anthony is coming, and we're all really excited. It's really fun too, because Carl Anthony, I don't know if many of you know about this, but he does a lot of outreach to families and children, and he supports children who are in, who need additional support, who are not doing well. And so it's beautiful. It's going to be a family event as well. So please do come if you can. And tickets are also available at the door. Okay. So if you have any ideas or you would like to have your event at Unity of Tustin, go ahead and please keep us in mind and reach out, and we would love to help you. And I'm giving it back to Jim.
Thank you, Ray. So Lisa's not here, but I want to say this, Lisa, in case you're online with your grandchild. We want to thank you for your leadership and operational insight and skills. Lisa's also full-time working, crazy, professional, high level. She's a driving force for our change and stability. I especially appreciate our brainstorming together and your integrity. We're fortunate to have you. Honestly, any one of the board members could be doing my job. We're so fortunate to have such an outstanding group of people. So at this point, I want to bring up another outstanding person. I invite Connie Carter to the podium to deliver the grounds restoration and maintenance report.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you all here and at home. It's wonderful to be together as we are in our annual meeting. I had really great notes. Everything was organized and fabulous. And then I started hearing everybody else talking and started adding things and making little arrows and scratch outs and stuff. So may not be smooth, but I want to be sure and include everything. The very first thing that I want to do is thank the people who especially help me do the things I do here. You know, everyone is so kind to say, oh, you know, Connie does this and the other. Couldn't possibly do it without the man wandering off towards the sanctuary. That would be Marco. Yeah, could not possibly do what I do without Marco handling it all. And then Steve Stokel is absolutely amazing. In so many ways, we call each other partners in grime. So yeah, and then we have all sorts of fabulous garden angels who are constantly busy here doing things. So that's, you know, I must say thank you from the bottom and the top of my heart. And then Todd, I would rather mow every lawn in Orange County than try to do a financial spreadsheet, okay? So we all have our gifts, so thank you. Exactly, that is exactly how it works. We all have our little shining part and it comes together so well. And Jim is our amazing leader. Can't say enough about you and pulling us together and doing how much work you do. It's astonishing. And then Mary Jean, having you attend all of the board meetings is fabulous. It just adds so much having you there. So thank you for that. Okay, so having done that, what we have here are some amazing facilities and grounds, and they are beautiful and they are functional. And now they are pretty much up to snuff, thanks to all the work and financial contributions that each and every one of us do. Obviously, none of this can happen without all of us doing physical and financial spiritual work here. And it's not just a physical holding place, although it is that. The grounds and the buildings are also a ministry unto themselves. I've seen it time and time again, people wandering on campus, they're not even members, and the blessing and the spiritual fulfillment they get just walking these gardens. So the grounds themselves are a ministry. So we're blessed to have them. I can't think of anybody else who has something like we do. Let me see here. As to my next title or what have you, facilities and grounds director or manager, I'm working my way into that. Jim introduced what that will look like, and I'm working on processes and record keeping and how to pull all that together. I'll be attending a seminar next week, a 2-day seminar on financial or facilities management, just to get a better idea on how to do what I'm being tasked to do. So I'm looking forward to it. So that'll be coming on. I just wanted to, I'm sorry if this will seem boring. I hope it isn't, because it's not boring. I'm going to list some of the achievements that we have accomplished in this last year. And it's quite amazing. When I started writing them down, I kept writing and writing and writing. And it's just amazing. So let me just quick run through these. And if Aaron holds up the red sheet, I'll just cut right off in the middle of a sentence. I will. So just in no particular order, we trimmed the 100-year-old Aleppo pines for beauty and safety. We trimmed the legacy oak tree for beauty and safety right over there. We refurbished Hummingbird House with new flooring, bathroom fixtures, light fixtures, water heater, art. Thank you, Reverend Blair, for the beautiful art. That's you. Plantation shutters and furniture. We've installed new AC units in the admin building, Hummingbird House, sanctuary, and education building. How could we do work here without functioning air conditioning, except out here. We repaired the dry rot and termite damage in each and every building. We tented every building and spot treated the sacred garden sites for termites because everything was infested. We repainted every building, including the 2 storage sheds out back. We re-roofed the storage sheds. We replaced the bench around the oak tree. We replaced a broken office door. We repaired a rusted through sanctuary wall. We had no idea you could stick your hand through the sanctuary wall, but that has now been repaired. We built and installed a listening tree box and a garden donation box. We restored and replanted the children's garden. We're continuously repairing and improving the irrigation system. Sorry, Steve, we'll never be done with that. Never, but thank you. As Todd mentioned, we purchased and upgraded the audiovisual system, although that was last year. It's still an ongoing it is an ongoing improvement in addition to that system. We purchased a smart irrigation system to save water and to save money. We drained, scrubbed Site 8 waterfall and pond. We repaired the filter out there so that that beautiful site will continue to function and be the blessing that it always has been. We restructured the gardener duties to save money. And yes, part of that means me mowing the lawn, which I actually enjoy. And Margie, for some odd reason, stepped forward and said she wanted to. And who was I to say no? So thank you for that. We resurfaced and restriped the parking lot. So now we can actually see where the spaces are and that sort of thing. And it looks so nice too. We've planted new trees. We've eliminated trip hazards at all pathways. We've reduced clutter, removed unnecessary items. We removed the worn out fence around the labyrinth just because initially it was because it was falling down and looked really creepy. But once it was gone, we were like, open to a whole new vista of our grounds. And so we're not likely to put another fence back up. We're talking about ways to put a boundary, but it won't be a fence. Cleared out the Victoria House porch, installed custom shelving. We leveled and repaired the porch roof at Hummingbird House. Mary Jean especially would come out and it was like this, and it was like irksome. And so we leveled it, fixed it, and now it looks good. We relocated 4 beehives. This place is very attractive to bees because of all the flowers. And so we rehomed them. We've created and installed new signage. A lot of that is thanks to Annette and to Aaron, and it looks beautiful and it's very functional too. We've purchased and installed easy ups for our garden services. Jim and Annette were huge in that part. We installed new security system, and we refurbished Site 6. Is Harvey here? Yes, this beautiful thing back here, that was Harvey's, and he did a gorgeous job, gorgeous job refurbishing that. So that's off the top of my head. I could go on and on. I don't want to bore you. I'm sure I've missed a few things. And somebody said, is there more to do? Yes. Yes, there is. Yes, there always is. But the big things are done. The big musts are finished. The things we had to do or else it would fall down. The ones coming up are very exciting things to do. Like Jim mentioned, I can't wait to start thinking about and planning how we can optimize Victoria House, beautify it and make it so much more functional than it currently is. And let's see, that we want to do. I'll stop with that, just with the last thing. All these upcoming things, they involve you, not just in what you continue to do, and that is to support financially, but what do you want to do? How do you want to be involved? What do you vision? What would thrill you? What would help us fulfill our mission here? So talk to me, talk to whoever else can keep that going. And that's pretty much it that I have to say for that. So thank you all very much for what you do.
Thank you, Connie. That's great. So a special thank you from me, Connie, for your devotion to our property and grounds, with your endless vision of what can be. And of course, the teams and individuals that you lead and support. Our transforming property and grounds are a reflection of your internal radiance. So at this time, I would like to invite Aaron Hosseller to the podium to deliver the Youth and Family Ministry Report and Social Media Marketing Update. Thank you.
Hello again. Yes, I'm here. And just, Jim, I'm just going to have you hold this. I'm getting the green light to just say whatever I need to say. Oh, it's so fun working with this board and being a part of this community. It is something that just brings so much joy to my heart. And, it's been an interesting year. I'm not going to say rough, but it's been an interesting year with the pandemic, but certainly one that has had many, many gifts along the way. Before I head into my youth and family ministry report, I realize just how fortunate I am and we are to have a youth and family ministry that is so vibrant and exciting and full of love and purpose and passion. And I do have to recognize Nevin Valentine for her part in that and all of the, yes. So Nevin, if you are watching, we love you and thank you so much for everything that you have done in building our youth and family ministry. And for everybody who's been a part of that in previous years as well. So as far as my report, and I promise not to let Spirit cause me to go too adrift, but you guys know how I am by this point, right? Okay, yes, I have an outline. I do not have it all printed out, and we're just going to let Spirit say what needs to be said. So where we are right now, what a beautiful experience also to have these relationships with our teachers and these parents that are stepping forward and being involved in not just Unity of Tustin's future, but the future of these bright lights in these individuals that are going to be the leaders of our tomorrow. These are the leaders of the world tomorrow. And we have the opportunity right now to invest and show them and lead them the way on how to be a loving and kind and heart-centered leadership and community, and treating each other with just recognizing the radiance that we all have. And it is beautiful, and it is a privilege to be the leader of such a group. And I'm not going to list everybody's name right now, but there will be a social media post coming. So just keep an eye out on Facebook and Instagram, because I definitely could not and would not do it without these individuals. So thank you. Now, as far as our current focus, I'm going to break it down. Honestly, there is a lot going on. It is a lot of work in the youth and family ministry, certainly as we're emerging and kind of trying new things. But I did my best to keep it as succinct and brief as possible. So the first focus is really outreaching and marketing, right? Letting know people, hey, we're here and we want you to be a part of it. You are a part of it. You are this ministry of what makes it come alive. So we're doing, we are going to be having integrating Yfm into bigger church. So potentially having, family Sundays at service, being able to, with Reverend Blair's loving support, being able to have junior prayer chaplains. And there is, just so much beautiful programs emerging. So thank you. We have, hold on. So we have right now actively, we did implement last month with teacher Julie Boys. We have Creative Kids Heart Ministry, and that is the second Sunday of every month. The 11 o'clock class is going to be focused on art. So visual arts, performance arts, musical arts, it's going to be a variety for kids and teens to experience maybe what touches them and what they enjoy. And we're so blessed that Julie emerged when she did and came to Unity of Tustin. So Julie, I see you and thank you so much. Yeah, thank you very much. So we have Creative Kids. We also have our Nature Explorers outing, and that has been going on for about 4 months now. And that is a program where we get out in nature. It's not on campus. We have once a month, families are invited to meet with me and my family at a different nature centers. One month we did the tide pools at Corona del Mar. This month, which is next Saturday, we're doing the redwood groves in Carbon Canyon. And so in with that, it's a time to connect. It's a time to go out on the trail. You know, there's a creative project that happens, meditation time. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you. Please reach out to me. And then we also have our garden ministry revival that took place. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting for everybody, not just the teachers, not just our YFM, but for the community to get involved. It's so beautiful. And you know, Pam and Arnie Bazinski and Susan Zach and Mary and Dawn Teeters. Yes, I will stop for a second. Hold on. Yes, thank you. Yes, because that takes a lot of time and that takes a lot of sweat to get that up and running and then to manage it and then to be able to spark that joy in youth, right? To where they get excited to go harvest some parsley. Today they were like, yes, I want to cut parsley. And they got baskets of lettuce and we're sharing it and we're teaching them, right? We're teaching them that how to create your abundance and then share it. So from time to time, there will be harvest available during hospitality with brown bags, and we invite you to share in that joy with us. So very exciting. And thank you again, Pam and Arnie, Susan, and Mary and Dawn. Appreciate you guys so much. And then emerging, what's happening now is, well, the name is yet to formalize, but for right now I'm calling it Sacred Service Opportunities. We are getting out in the community and creating opportunities for our youth and our families to be of service. So volunteering, we are in the process of building a relationship and setting up a volunteer day at Laura's house, which I know many of you are familiar with. I believe Unity of Tustin has partnered with them in the past. So Laura's house is for domestic abuse victims, mothers and children. So we are setting up a volunteer day at Laura's house, and that's going to be for our teens. And then we're also, thanks to Gary Godshaw, that inspirational idea of reaching out to Tanaka Farms. And we're so fortunate with where we're located to have so many wonderful places to experience and explore and make friends with, right? And network with. So that's what we're doing. But Gary, thank you for that idea about Tanaka Farms. That's going to be a lot of fun. Especially as we come up to next month is October. There will be pumpkins everywhere. So we're looking forward to that. Okay, and now as far as the second focus, really updating the classrooms. Todd, oh wait, here's a note. Yes, ask Todd to cover ears. Okay, Todd, can you please put on your earmuffs? Okay. So we are looking to, update the classrooms. A lot of it is beautiful and it served its purpose, and we need to lovingly release and then receive some new life. And so what that means is kind of getting some new toys, putting some new wall art, freshening up the walls and the carpet and things like that. So look for that. A space that we're able to, as we step even further into the vision, that we're able to accommodate all ages and their families in the education building and be able to have things that spark that joy and that interest in the kids. That's important to do. So that's why we would be doing that. I'm cleaning and organizing and, redecorating and updating. So I invite you to, if on a Sunday you want to come in after service and take a look around, you are invited. Please let me know. I'd love to share more about what we're doing and where we're going. And if you feel the call from Spirit to get involved, I would like to help you discern that as well. Now, some things that we are working on in preparation for Welcoming Sunday are to update and what would you say? Update and create a process for like new families and new teachers, like an orientation process. So we'll be working with Shara on that. And I'm looking to have quarterly meetings with our teachers, events that we can attend together, fun outings to where there's also the fellowship within the adults as well. And then with that, creating a parent group. So there's that additional fellowship and support. Let's see, we have, I have one more thing and then I will wrap it up. We do have a YFM. Oh, you're so well. We do have a YFM AIF group. So Adventure in Faith. If you are involved in the youth and family ministry, we have our own small group this year, thanks to Susan Zach, who's going to be facilitating. Yes. Thank you, Susan. And also Anna Perez, who is a YFM parent, she will be hosting. So thank you to both of you for stepping up into those roles. Appreciate it. All right, and I want to leave you with just bringing into your awareness. I do a monthly Yfm newsletter. I'm just going to keep talking. I'm not worried about the airplane, but if I put it in with the slides, and of course at Sunday service, there's always some available. So please pick it up. It will let you know what our upcoming events are and a little, recap of really what we did, our wins from the previous month. One thing that we're doing is including a youth spotlight. So this month is Vibrant Ian, who's a Uniteen, and I asked them some questions that get them thinking. There's a lot of wisdom there. So have fun with it, and thank you so much for the support. As I step into this new role, I have received nothing but love, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I will continue to work hard and serve to the best of my ability. So thank you so much.
We thought white blinds. Are you good with white blinds in there? Or did you want to keep them the same? Both of them. Or did you want to keep them the same color?
Right. I do have something to say also about social media. So one of the things that I would say, our focus is on Facebook and Instagram, creating content that is visually, professional, and it gets the information out clearly and captures audience's attention. But we also have stepped into a platform called Meetup. And I know many of you have heard of it and many of you have not. But if you're interested, I think that Meetup is a wonderful place. It's like an organized hub where you can kind of keep track of Unity of Tustin's events and classes that are coming up. So I do urge you to join Meetup. And if you have any questions on any of that, let me know. I know that we have a love-hate relationship with Facebook, but it is, we have to embrace it and use it to the best of our ability. And part of that is when you do see Unity of Tustin content come up in your feed, the algorithm, Facebook algorithm does appreciate your interaction. So just give it a like. If you really like it or you're inspired, go ahead and just give it a heart, make a comment. That helps us spread our reach organically, and it does make a big difference. So that's my plead for social media, and there's so much more to share, but at some point I have to cut myself off. So thank you, everybody. I love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Erin. You're a being of bright light, and as such, you're shining and as such are shining the way forward for us. You and your teams will be integral to our success and prosperity. Thank you. And she's a bundle of energy and full of heart, right? Yeah. At this time, I would like to ask Mary Jean, our ministry director, to make a couple of presentations on behalf of the board and our membership.
So last February, when Nevin resigned, I was given the task by the board to come up with something to honor her. And I thought about how we've honored people in the past who have been involved in our ministry and served. And my memory was that there are times when we would have people say a lot of nice things, and then we'd go have one of those cakes with the writing on it, and we'd eat a few pieces of it. And then next week, hospitality would try to pass it off. And by then we'd throw it away, right? However, during COVID, it's been more difficult to do those kind of things. And I just could not bring myself to spend money on one of those plaques. We probably all have a couple of them at home. You throw them in a drawer somewhere or put them in a closet and nobody ever looks at them. They're not inexpensive either. So it's taken me this long to come up with something that I felt was really, you know, something somebody would enjoy having. And so this one in particular is for Amy. You can come up and look at it later. It's a frame that says Unity of Tustin, one heart, one God, one heart, many paths. And it says, thank you, Amy, on the bottom. I have one of these for Nevin. I have one of these for Daryl, and I have one of these for Steve Stokel, who's stepping out of his role as on the board. So Amy wanted me to read this today. She wants you all to know that she'd be here in person, except that she had an online retreat she committed to over a year ago and had to commit to that. So she thanks you for all of your love and well wishes. Anyway, I was so happy that I found something that I thought people would really enjoy having. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jean. At this time, I'd like to ask Aaron Hosteller to step to the podium to lead our open forum.
Okay, you guys hear me? Oh, here we go. Okay, so we have an opportunity to receive questions from both our on-campus attendees and also on our Zoom attendees. So at this time, as we've done in the past, if you have a question, we ask that you gear it towards a particular board member, if possible. And as you state your question, it's going to be like a 2-minute limit so that we can get to everybody. So 2 minutes to state your question, and then we will allow the board member to provide a response, and we will continue in that fashion until everybody has received their response. So at this time, do we have anybody that has any questions or comments that they'd like to share? Christy, no? We have one in the back. Okay, is that, oh, where? Okay.
Should I take the microphone?
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, and I'll take one too. We're not going to be on camera. That's okay. You guys will be able to hear. Who has the question?
Introduce yourself and then.
Hi, my name is Rose Bell, and this question goes to Connie. Hi, Connie. Can you tell me what the plans are for the koi pond?
turning
Thank
here.
you. Yeah. Thank you for asking that question. That was one of the things I had in my notes, and I said, gee, I'm blabbing. I better not talk about that. But now you've given me the opening to talk about that. The Sacred Grounds Ministry, which I know you belong to, is having a meeting Saturday, the 25th, starting at 9 a.m. We have an agenda, and one of the main things on the agenda is to form committees who want to put their heart and soul and vision into creating what to do with that particular site. And as well as site one, which is pretty bare bones right now. So those two in particular, we're going to be forming committees who will really roll up their sleeves and come up with some ideas on that. I have 3 or 4 people who have already raised their hand to be on the Koi Pond committee. Let's make it 5. I know that is a place of great interest. And as we said earlier, you know, financially, we have done the things that had to be done. Koi Pond isn't a have to. We want to, and we will, and the committee will talk about it. And then part of the considerations of that will, of course, be, you know, financial and then upkeep and that sort of thing. But yes, we're hot after that particular topic, and other ones too. This gives me another opening. Anybody else who wants to come to the Sacred Grounds Ministry meeting, again, Saturday, the 25th at 9, and that will give you time to go to the women's group meeting as well afterwards, because we do have quite an agenda of things to do around here. But does that answer your question? Okay, thank you for asking it. Perfect.
Okay, here comes Ron. Hello, Ron.
Hello, it's a combination of maybe a statement and a question. As many of you know, my involvement with the music program here has been one of the most all-encompassing and rewarding experiences of my life. And I don't know if I'm adequately able to express my gratitude to Amy John, or if anybody who has not been a member of choir could fully understand that choir is a whole lot more than the music. It is an all-encompassing ministry, the heart of which is incredible prayer. Somebody like me who might get off of work and at the Long Beach airport at like 6:15 and drive totally illegally like a maniac to get here. Why? To be here at 6:45 with a rehearsal that's going to end at 7. Why? To be there for prayer. And a circle of 20, 25 or 30 people praying, and the incredible prayer warrior that Amy is hard to have anybody understand who's not experienced it. And she has continued this throughout the over year and a half that we've been meeting every Monday night. And I have done my best to never miss one of those, even when I've been driving, just so I can hear that. And anytime there's a prayer request, it is remembered. And a text to Amy a week ago brought incredible emails to the entire choir to pray for our dear friend who had been in an accident just a few blocks away from here. I had a big concern. Amy articulated a plan under which that she would return after COVID was actually fully behind us. And in the interval, our wonderful Carol Roman, so talented and such a wonderful director as well as accompanist in her own right, was going to take over the in-person aspects of choir, with Amy continuing to select music, and her encyclopedic knowledge of every aspect of New Thought music and every artist has shown up in the kinds of artists that appear here. And I don't know if as talented as Christy and Mary Jean are, I know they're already both so totally overworked. I don't know, Jim, if you understand how much Amy does in terms of her coordination of the music. And I feel from those times when I've been here in person that Jim, I believe everything you do. I mean, you're a whirling dervish of leadership. God bless you, the degree to which you've led us. But questions from you about what is it going to take to get the choir back here in person has felt like there's maybe a bit of a push and a forcing. And I just, I'm more than sad. One of the regrets of my life is about 4 years ago, we had a staff member who was being, quote, honored. And it was presented that she was deciding to step down and so on, and was being honored. And yet I knew she was being terminated. And I was in a service just choking up the desire to speak out, and I never did. And I always will regret that. So I'm just trying to speak out for Amy right now of how much difference she has made here. Thank you.
Would you like to respond, Jim?
Sure. So Ron, thank you for that. I know that wasn't easy for you to say, and I know how much you and Lynn both care for Amy, as do all of us. It's a fun story for those of you who don't know. Annette and I met Amy 20 years ago when she first started with March, and Amy sang with Annette's band a couple of times when she needed some people. And then of course, Annette's been singing self to service with the choir for those 20 years. So we are friends with Amy. You know, change is not easy. You know, there's inside groups that are affected by it, and there's outside groups that are affected by change. And I think what we're experiencing are the people that have been so close and impacted by Amy feeling the impact of the changes that are coming. And I think that that's something we just have to go through. Amy's beloved and appreciated. The email that we sent out last week was pretty much scripted by Amy and Mary Jean. There's no bad guys. There's no drama. We're trying to be as transparent and open as we can, and as respectful as we can to people's privacy. So I would ask that you reach out to Amy if you have any particular issues or questions. But otherwise, we're grateful and thankful for everything that she's done. Mary Jean has offered to Amy and the choir any type of celebration and honoring that they feel appropriate. I think it's tough right now with COVID and the quarantine. So at any time you guys are moved to do something to honor and respect Amy, we're all in. Whatever that looks like, we will support. And I don't think there's anything that we've had offered yet, right? Nobody's. So so just know, Ron, you have some ideas on how we can support and respect her, we will. As far as when does the choir come back, Carol and Mary Jean sent out a survey to the choir asking what their preferences were. We have some responses. We're working with that. And Carol's in the back, as I understand. Do you want to comment on what the plans are with the choir, at least with the foursome? Do you want to comment on that at all, or would you rather not? Right. Okay. So we have a quartet. Is that what we call it? A quartet starting when? October 3rd. So October 3rd, there's a quartet that's going to start practicing, and I think they're going to be singing in AIF. So choir will be coming back, but only at the speed that those members want to come back. And we have to respect the desire for some to be at home and some to be on site. I don't know if I answered your question, but I hope that I at least gave some heart to the response. Thank you for caring so much for Amy. Okay, any other questions? Zelda.
Some of you may know me as the money lady. I don't have any qualms about asking for money because this is my profession. And I just wanted to point out, I went back to, I'm going back to page 10, and year to date, the donations, the offerings have been 187,000. If we're about 2/3 through, if that follows through for the rest of the year, we're going to have in that particular bucket about 282,000. Todd has said that bare bones were about 30,000 a month. That's 360,000. So the only thing that's really held us up is the very, very generous donations of a number of people here on campus that fall into that other category. That's not something that is going to be forever sustainable. And so would be wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to cover that bare bones, 30,000 a month, 360 a year in that offering category. So I just, want to encourage you to look at that and look at your own pockets and the gifts that we receive from this community, and see what else you might want to do for the wonderful, wonderful work this board is doing. I'm very, very impressed and very happy that we're going to come out of this bigger and stronger and in supporting more people. So just wanted to bring that to light. Thank you.
I have a question and then I have a comment. So actually I'll do my comment first. I'm really excited that Carl Anthony is going to—
Identify yourself.
I'm Carol Roman. You're a new choir director. And the reason I didn't want to talk more about that is I'd like it to be a surprise for the community when our first quartet comes out. But I'm very excited about it, and so are they. So, Carl Anthony. Probably everyone here has seen Carl. Maybe not for a while. I was so moved when he came out with his, I think it was called Mantra. When the entire sanctuary was Black and he created this entire magical environment. It's important to support whatever music is brought here, not just because I'm so involved in the music, but if we don't, it will go away. And I have all kinds of ideas on other programs and other music events that I would love to see happen here. So this is one that it's going to be excellent. I'm going to be here. I'm going to tell a couple of my friends, please don't let this one slide by. It's really important. Okay, so there's that. Connie, my question is for you. Are there any plans to bring AC to Victoria House?
Another excellent question. As you heard us discussing during the rest of the presentation, one of the big deals of our next year focus is refurbishing Victoria House. And so I have gotten bids on what it would take to put air conditioning in there and heat in there and get rid of the kooky little wall heaters and AC things we have. So that would be part of the refurbishing of Victoria House. Also, changing some walls and making it a fellowship hall and making it much more functional, much more beautiful, and much more, in the new age instead of the dark age, because I know it's pretty funky right now. So that's part of that plan for sure. Yeah, thank you.
Patty?
Hi, I'm Patty Higgins. this question is maybe for Mary Jean about the Carl Anthony sale of tickets. Some of us have a technological hesitancy. I don't like to put financial things on my phone or barely on my computer. So Eventbrite is not a place I've been to yet. We used to buy tickets to events in the bookstore, and Kay, I see you're here. And I know the registers in the bookstore are a challenge, but I think we would sell more tickets to events if we could buy them here in person for those of us who are actually physically here.
Wait, microphone.
Oh, Mary Jean.
They can't hear you. They can't hear you online.
Website to buy a ticket, or you don't want to use a credit card to buy a ticket?
I want to buy the ticket here.
You want to buy it by credit card?
By credit card here.
Okay, well, you can do that at the kiosk. There's a reason why, and I can explain it. The bookstore system is just not functioning very well at this point. So we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? We have a hard stop at 2:30, so that's in a couple minutes.
Anything online? Any questions online?
No questions online. Okay. Any other questions? If any other questions come up, then please email them to Mary Jean or Jim.
Call me, text me.
Okay, here's your mic, sir.
All right, one thing.
You already have.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Erin. Thank you guys for your questions. Ron, thank you for that. That wasn't easy. I appreciate that. Okay, so before we close, am I on? I would like to thank Erin for putting together this meeting. This is no small task. Ever since we formed, she's put together every one of our online and on-campus meetings, and with the integration for the virtual. So this is no small task. So Erin, thank you so much. Also in the back is our unbelievable AV man, Tony. And you guys see him, he's here early and he's here late. He's invisible with 4 screens. He's the one that's sending everything out. He actually is the one that really advised Todd and me on what AV equipment to get. So, you know, he is really a part of our community, just like Marco. Also, Christy, thank you so much for everything that you've did with the printing and behind the scenes with the Zoom. Thank you. Shara was helping us with the Zoom as well in Albuquerque, is that right? Okay, so Shara, thank you very much for helping us in Albuquerque. Of course, Mary Jean, you know, we can't do anything without Mary Jean. And she can't leave till I leave. So I just want that in the fine print. I just want that clear. Mary Jean's not leaving till Jim's done. And then of course, I want to thank my wife for helping on the camera as well. Thank you, sweetheart. All right. Also, oh, I just wrote this. Marcos, where are you, buddy? Yeah, he's working, right? That's Marcos. He's 3 guys. Marcos, thank you for setting up yesterday. Thank you for helping us tear down. And as Connie said, we love you. You're beloved by the community. Thank you so much. And who's still here from hospitality? I see Susan. Anybody else? Rose? All right, raise your hands. Thank you. Hey, Bill. Thank you guys so much for everything that you did today. And so with that, I would like to ask Reverend Blair to please come forward to lead us in our closing prayer. Reverend Blair's right here.
Well, normally I would ask everybody to join hands, but I'm not going to do that today. But just imagine that you're linked hand and heart to those around you here and to those who are online and those who are part of our church in any way. And just feel that energy of being connected, heart and hand and mind and spirit. And I feel blessed as I feel that. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful to be a part of this wonderful spiritual community and to acknowledge all the different ways that so many people give so much that bring an energy of blessing that we can receive So again, that we can participate in sharing in our own way. So with this awareness of a network of love and caring and energy, we just say to Spirit, thank you, thank you, thank you for this connection that we have that enriches us and enriches so many in so many ways. We are blessed and we are conscious of that blessing. Thank you, God. Amen.
So at this point, I'd like to announce that our 2021 annual membership meeting for Unity of Tustin is adjourned. Hey!
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for attending online. It was a wonderful meeting, and God bless.